Obviously, when a relationship ends, there's so many different reasons that you feel pain and so many different feelings that come up, and you're grieving so many different things. I think for me, one of the most painful ones is this feeling that I'm alone, I'll always be alone, everyone will betray me or leave me or lie to me, and I have these really intense, beautiful connections, but then they ultimately always end. I grew up thinking that my parents didn't love me. As I've gotten older, I can recognize that my parents did love me, but growing up, I did not think that they did. And I thought there must be something so wrong with me that my own parents don't love me. And if I show all the bad parts of myself, I'm not going to be accepted by anyone. And so I can't show negative emotions. I just tried to be perfect in order to be accepted and really put this mask on, and was never really being myself or opening up about things that were happening in my life. And when I was 16, I met a friend who I actually did open up to and got super close to, and showed him all the bad parts of myself. And that friendship completely transformed my life. It was so healing, and it made me realize like people will accept me and it's okay to be who I am. And I was able to have more authentic friendships with other people also as a result of that. And the reality of why these codependent connections feel so good and why love feels so good is because it's the only time that you're connecting with your authentic self. And this is really the root of all trauma. It's the core wound that a lot of us have, and that we're trying to fill with addiction or with love, with other people, with wealth, with whatever it is that you're trying to fill that wound with. But literally all you ever need is your authentic self, and you're not going to get that feeling from anywhere else. Dr. Gabor Maté says that trauma is just disconnecting from your authenticity, disconnecting your mind and body. And that to heal trauma, you just have to reconnect with yourself and reconnect with your authenticity and your intuition. And yeah, so I think that's really the root of everything, and it's why you feel alone and why it's so painful to lose someone that you love, because they're a reflection of your authentic self, and you're able to see the beauty of your authentic self when you're with this person, and to be able to accept and love it. But you don't need this person to do that. You can do that for yourself. And also the love that you have for them is still there. It's not gone. You can appreciate and be grateful for all of these amazing experiences, and just be grateful that you felt these good feelings and that God always gives you who you need when you need it. There's no reason that you can't feel love and positive emotions when you think about this person. You don't have to grieve them forever. This friend and I, we had a very codependent relationship. We literally hung out every day for almost 7 years straight. We texted 24/7. I told him like every single thing that ever happened to me, every single thing anyone ever said. And I think that came from a really unhealthy place of wanting someone to know everything that ever happened to me so that they could validate my feelings and validate the decisions that I make. And I've been able to give that to myself now, and I don't feel like I need that from other people. But yeah, I think that's why it's so painful to have these codependent relationships end. Because I notice for me especially, it brings up this wound of like feeling like I don't even have family that I'm close to, like I don't have that comfort. Yeah, the reality is that the pain comes from losing your authentic self, because that person was such an easy way for you to connect with that every day, because you were able to show up as that person and really be yourself and like have that reflected back to you through a relationship with someone. And you know, we're all mirrors of each other, so I'm not saying that person is not amazing and great and everything, and it might be a genuine loss to not have that person in your life. But really that person was a mirror of you, because when you are your authentic self, you're going to attract someone who mirrors that. And you are just as much a part of the equation and a part of that relationship. And the relationship wouldn't be enjoyable if you weren't there to interact with them and to be yourself and to have conversations with them. And part of what you fell in love with was really yourself. And I think love is really just two authentic people reflecting each other back to each other. I think this is the root of all pain. We aren't connected to who we truly are, and we don't accept who we truly are. We don't show up as who we truly are. Maybe we do with one person or with a few people. And so when you lose that, it's so painful, because that's where like all of our pain comes from, and that's the hole that we're always trying to fill. And you can always search for it in other relationships, trying to fill it with someone else, and it might work temporarily, but you don't need to be in a relationship to heal this part of yourself. Just start trying to show up as your authentic self more and more, and find ways to accept and love that all the different parts of yourself, all the bad parts of yourself, and not relying on someone else to do that for you and to make you feel like it's okay to be that. You can literally just give that to yourself. I think that addictions are just us trying to heal this wound and fill this hole, and I think that relationships can be addictive in that way, and you feel like you need it because you're trying to fill this hole in yourself. Obviously, this doesn't apply to toxic relationships where you're not being yourself and you're not being accepted, but I think you probably still are trying to fill that wound. It's just not necessarily working. And then when it ends, it's just gonna make it even worse. But the people that we fall in love with are really a representation of you accepting your authentic self. And when my friendship with this friend that I had for 7 years ended, I feel like my heart chakra got blocked. I also ended a lot of other friendships around that time because I felt like they were not trustworthy, or I just was trying to not live a chaotic life anymore. So I had a lot of friendships end around that time, and after this one friendship ended, I feel like I was scared to connect to people again or to like open up to someone again. And I literally haven't made a friend since. It's been like 3 or 4 years. And I feel like my heart chakra just got blocked, and now this experience now is healing it because I'm allowing myself to feel that pain of grief and loss and teach myself that I'm able to handle it. I'm gonna make another video going into this more. And also learning to find my authentic self and fall in love with it without needing another person to be there to reflect it and to validate that there's nothing wrong with me or that I'll be accepted for the worst parts of me. And a lot of times our relationships don't work out because we rely on this person to help us accept this version of ourselves instead of being able to do it without their help. And so then we're overly reliant on this person to meet our needs. When you're not authentic, you're gonna attract something that reflects that back to you, something that is inauthentic or is not a reflection of who you truly are. And so it's not gonna be fulfilling in the same way, and it's not gonna fill that void. And a lot of us only have one or a few relationships where we're truly showing all of the bad parts of ourselves and accepting those parts of ourselves, or being able to have someone else accept those parts of ourselves. And so when this relationship ends, that's the wound that's being brought up, is that core wound of feeling like you're not good enough and not being able to accept all the parts of yourself, which is where trauma comes from. I also feel like this person represents like comfort and stability to me, and there's almost like this craving, like addiction, this craving for that comfort. But again, it's like you just have to give that to yourself, because why do you not feel safe and comfortable being alone? And it's because you're relying on this person to meet your needs instead of meeting them for yourself. Or you don't trust yourself and your own capabilities. And maybe you don't comfort yourself in the way that you should, and you're not kind to yourself, you don't validate yourself. Whatever it is that this person does for you that makes you feel better, or that helps you, that makes you feel comforted and safe, you just have to do it for yourself now, and you should have been all along. And also, once you're able to do this, all of your relationships are gonna get a lot healthier. When I was going through such a dark time and having so many negative emotions, I felt like I couldn't show that side of myself to people, and that people wouldn't accept the depressed version of me and the version of me that was struggling so much. And so I only opened up to this one person, this person I was in a relationship with, and I relied on them to meet all of my needs, which is really not fair to do to someone. I just always thought no one wants the sob story, no one wants to see the dark parts of you, no one wants to hear the bad things, they just want the success story after, they just want the good version of you. And honestly, it's not true, because obviously I don't want to see other people struggling, but it is comforting to know that you're not alone in your dark experiences, and to hear people talk about their own experiences and to be able to relate to it. Like, even when I started this channel, it's harder for me sometimes to talk about my own experiences, and I just thought like no one cares, but I'm realizing that as humans, like, we love hearing other people's stories, and we connect through story and sharing this human experience. So Comfort yourself, accept your authentic self, learn to start showing up as that person more, even if it's just with yourself and accepting yourself. You know what I mean? Like, accept when you have these dark emotions and be kind to yourself about that. Because you're perfectly fine no matter what state you're in. You're perfect the way you are. And you're deserving of love and respect. And you at least have to give that to yourself. You don't need another person to fix this pain. All you ever needed was yourself.